In a world full of noise, two voices rise above the chaos. Ron and Brian. They speak truth. They stir thought. They accidentally help. News, nonsense, and necessary self-care. Join the cult of Ron and Brian. Because the work is so important.
Oh, it is. The work is so very important. And we are here live, 8 o'clock Sunday night, episode 388, ready to do the work, get the work done. Brian, how the hell are you tonight?
Listen, it has been a week of emotional highs, emotional lows, challenges, time spent on airplanes, people complaining that I don't share enough information with them about my location. But the most important thing, and I believe this trumps everything that we have to talk about, is the fact that right now we are about to knock out episode 368 of this damn show. And 388?
388.
Oh my God. Oh, the acid just wore off, and I don't even know where the last 20 episodes. Okay, so it's 388. We'll edit that in post. Matt, put a pin in that. 1 minute 25. We will edit that. But we are doing here. Back in. 2, 3, 4. We are about to do episode 388 of this show. We have, far exceeded expectations. People did not think that we would have staying power. They thought that we were going to wimp out. We were going to give up, but we didn't. We are still here. We are, and I get to spend an hour with you. So that
there you go.
Pretty good move.
Well, and thanks to everybody who is skipping the NFL game right now. We'll keep you up to date on the Chicago Rams score. Of course, Patriots knocking off the Texans earlier today. Many people comparing C.J. Stroud's performance to Brian's 1-year reign as podcast champion. An equal amount of impotence is what people are saying. But listen, let's get right into things right now, Brian, with our drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Sláinte.
Pause.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the
Brian,
week.
what are you drinking this week?
This week, listen, I know you like to keep it local. You like to support your little Philadelphia adjacent struggling breweries. I'm global. I'm an international sensation, which is why this week I go all the way out to Japan, the land of the rising sun, where our good friends over at Koido Brewery have presented me with one bottle of their Ruri Premium Pilsner. This is a 5.0 ABV beer, so you know it's going to be summer crushable, yet I'm drinking it in the middle of winter. Why? Because Ruri is the color, Ruri, I don't know, I'm probably announcing it wrong. It's the color of the clear blue skies, and crystal clarity is what this incredibly pure premium Pilsner is all about. Its flawless golden color, as you can see in this frosted mug, contrasts beautifully with a soft white head, which is already dissipated, for an easy drinking brew that pairs well with almost any dish and a podcast. Its delicate balance of rich flavors and hoppy bitterness is light on the palate, but yet persistently enjoyable, providing a deliciously satisfying quaff of discriminating beer drinkers with sophisticated tastes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, from Koido Brewery, Ruri Premium Pilsner, about to take my first sip. Wish me luck on this.
Now, what's interesting is Soft White Head is the review that you tend to get most of the time, going back to your college days. How is it, Brian? You look perplexed.
It's pretty tasty. It's a little bit heavier than your traditional Pilsners. Doesn't have that sharp bite that I'm a big fan of. But I will say this: if I were, having a bowl of ramen right now, or eating some sushi, maybe some tempura, possibly a teriyaki, I'm going to tell you something. Maybe some sashimi,
Would this go with a bento box, perhaps?
Oh, you sophisticated mofo. Yeah, this is a good beer. I give it a solid 3.25 on a scale of 1 to whatever. Ron, let me ask you a question as we move
Yes.
on. You're drinking?
So I dug deep into the beer fridge. I said, let me find what potentially could be the worst thing living in the beer fridge right now. So this is a sugar plum premium small batch hard cider. This is from the folks at Beak and Skiff Orchards. They are in upstate New York, Lafayette, New York, to be exact. They are tree to can, they call themselves. This is 6.9%, so fairly meaty for a cider. The hue, it's purplish and yet brownish all at the same time. If I sniff it,
I once went on tour with. I once went on tour with somebody whose urine was exactly that color.
And did they need to hydrate more? Was that kind of the?
I begged them. I begged them to have water, but they refused to. Only wanted to drink Starbucks mochas. Let me ask you a question, Ron. Before you take that first sip, how did this beverage end up in your beer fridge? Because it does not sound like something you would purchase.
I gotta say, I'm not 100% certain how exactly it ended up in my beer fridge. So we're going to take a sip of this and see how it is.
And I don't want a little. I want you to take a nice gulp. I want you to get all the flavors.
That's
not good. That is not a good face. Take another sip, and then I want you to walk us through the experience. What is it when it first hits your tongue? When it washes over your mouth? I want to hear after you swallow. What's the aftertaste like?
I mean, to be fair, I don't like ciders to begin with, so that's
right
off the bat an issue.
Agreed. Agreed.
You get a very initial hint of plum on the tongue. When you sip it, it's just all sweetness, just like almost like that fake sugar aftertaste. But as we often say, I got to finish it.
That's the rule we have. Portnoy has his one bite. Everybody knows the rules. We have once you start that drink, you've got to finish it. And let's be honest, over the 388 episodes we've done, we've had some lousy drinks. There were elderflower.
I'm going to put this top 5 as one of the top 5 worst things I've drank on the podcast.
I'm sorry,
but let's not get bogged down in sugar plum cider. Let's move along with our beef of the week.
Ron and Brian's beef of the week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I will tell you what it is. There is a plague of sports personalities out there calling themselves handicappers, promoting their knowledge of sports gambling at a level that they cannot live up to. And I'm not here to point fingers, but it's a word of warning. There's a guy that whose picks I've tended to follow, who I don't want to name names. I'm not a finger pointer. I do not want to start any type of litigation that could possibly be happening. I'm not going to use a name, but let's just say his name would rhyme with snore.
Snore?
I tried to mix some letters up because it's too close. Anyway, this past week, having to listen to him talk for too long does make me want to snore. All right, this weekend, I received several betting tips that were referred to as can't lose bets throughout this entire weekend. And I sat there and I said, I follow this guy. He's a champion when it comes to gambling. He's a man of many belts. So some of the bets he sent me this week, there was a losing 3-leg parlay on English Premier Soccer. There was a 3-leg parlay that he sent for the Denver Broncos Buffalo Bills game. that lost because RJ Harvey didn't get enough rushing yards. There was a Christian McCaffrey rushing yard straight bet in the second game that lost. There was an over on Baker May pass attempts earlier. These were all losers. This is a word of caution for people. If you are going to go online, if you are going to take gambling advice from people, make sure they know what they're talking about, because all too often there are people out there that will lead you astray and will damage, the one thing that is most precious to you, which is your wallet.
I mean, that's why we often say, Brian, bet with your head, not over it, when we do our locks of the week during the year.
Sure. And you're usually very good with your locks. Don't know what happened to you this weekend. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to say that. Oh.
Listen, it was. I'll take the hit. It was a rough weekend. We had some injuries. We had some unusual poor play. So yeah, sure. It was disconcerting, to say the least.
All right. That's what's bothering me. What's bothering you, Ron?
What's bothering me this weekend, Brian, snow. We had snow here. We had snow yesterday. We had snow today. We're having more snow right now. Brian, I was promised global warming. Where is it? Why do we still have seasons? I don't need them anymore. Very tired of the whole snow thing. And again, some people, they live in ivory towers. They pay fees for people to clean their sidewalks, to shovel, everything else. The common man like myself, living in suburban America, does not have that luxury, have to go out and shovel and salt and everything else. I am done with the seasons. We will retire and move somewhere that there are no seasons. Maybe Costa Rica, maybe Barcelona. How is Barcelona as a season?
Oh, I love Barcelona. Very temperate, very temperate. You're going to have some 70s. You're going to have some 80s. You'll have some 50s and 60s. It doesn't go down to 30. There are no 20s. Not only that, Ron, but you'll be very happy to know that Barcelona has much fewer Orthodox Jews than the area of Philadelphia adjacent land where you live. I know it's one of your biggest complaints about your neighborhood is how many Jews have moved in. I personally think that that's a plus. However, you tend to, the complaints about the walking, complaints about, dropping off the white the white button downs at your dry cleaners, taking too long, haggling over prices, extermination of the Palestinians
why do you come
in
up
your
with
neighborhood.
such exclusive lies? And if I may correct you, Brian, I believe in Barcelona, there's a lot of 20s and 30s because they're at Celsius there, Brian. They're not Fahrenheit. I don't know why you continuously show up to be the uncultured swine that you are.
Once again, people, listen, we use imperial numerical systems here. We don't do metric system. I know, Ron, you've pledged that if we do win the podcast debate and go on to be the podcast champion for a third straight year, you will enforce a metric only system upon the podcast. That you've said to me, I will no longer be able to refer to things in feet, inches, and miles. I will have to use meters, kilometers. You've said we will be doing Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Actually, I've changed my mind on that. We're going to only use seafaring terms. We'll use leagues. We'll use what are some other seafaring terms?
I don't knots. Knots. Isn't the speed is knots? Yes.
Be so many things that we'll use when I win and hold on to this belt for a third straight year.
Speaking of which, we are getting closer and closer to the Super Bowl. I believe you've got 3 weeks from today will be the Super Bowl. Is that not correct?
Let's see here. That would be correct. We are 3 weeks away. Next weekend will be the conference championship games. We will have the off week in between, and then the Super Bowl on February 8th.
Question for you. Do I need to send you a prepaid packing label for you to mail me belt back to me? Because I know you like to use USPS Ground Advantage, which gets lost, sent to the wrong address. We don't accurately know the delivery information. I'm going to want something a little bit more trustworthy, maybe a
This
Federal
if,
Express.
and it's a mighty big if the
This is
belt
not an
should
if,
change hands,
not an if.
I will send it DHL, and you should have it probably in time for the 2027 Super Bowl.
Hurts, Ron. Absolutely
next up
hurts. Yes.
Is our stories of the week, the stories that we grab. We want to make sure that we share with you, our listeners, our lovers, our friends. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
My story of the week is from the New York Post. A couple days ago, it was on the main page, and they took it down very quickly, but I feel like it should stay up there. A doctor by the name of Labelis Padilla, who is a gastroenterologist. She recently posted a video online to various social media outlets where she discussed what happens after your colonoscopy. Ron, 2025 was the year of the colonoscopy. I know you had 3 of them. I myself had my first one. And one of the things that Dr. Padilla wants us to know is that no matter how well you prep, we spoke about the colonoscopy prep for weeks leading up to the actual event. I did a series of videos about the prep work. What she wants us to know is that while the procedure is taking place, and we all know this, they are inserting the camera at the end of the tube, inserting it inside of your rectum through your colon into your lower intestine, taking pictures, looking at the skin that is in that area to see if there's any irritants, growths, whatnot. What she wanted to let us know is that no matter how well we prep, no matter how well we clean out, I know, Ron, you like to call that Thursday night in your house, but when we clean out, our digestive system in preparation for a colonoscopy, what Dr. Padilla wanted us to know is that no matter how well you clean out, upon the removal of that camera tube from your rectum, it's not going to come out clean, in her own words. And she says it will definitely slide across your body as it's being taken out. Message for her was, if you do have a colonoscopy, no matter how well of a cleanup the hospital staff are going to do, you're going to want to go home and shower. One of the things that this is why I took the story so personally. Right after I had my colonoscopy, I'm not a little bitch. I'm not a little whiner. I take things like a champ, because I will be your champ, people. 2026. I went out and went to go have breakfast. I remember we walked over to the nearest diner. I had a plate of pancakes with some eggs. I felt completely perfect. What I did not know was that there was probably poop remnants, across my buttocks and probably upper thighs. Dr. Padilla says immediately when you get home from your colonoscopy, if you are not groggy enough, just take a shower, clean yourself off, then lay down and get some sleep. But do not go about your day. Do not go about your day because you're just tracking poop all over your clothes.
I just remember there was definitely a feeling of a lot of lube back there. So that's why I knew I needed to go home and just to cleanse myself. I needed to be clean, Brian.
More lube than you normally have sliding out of your rectum?
Shockingly enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Who knew? I
know. Very, very surprising. But yes, that is my story of the week. Ron, what have you brought for the fans?
So this week, Brian, the ski jumping world is being rocked by what people are referring to as Penisgate. Apparently, professional ski jumpers are artificially enlarging their genital area before official measurements for their competitions by using substances such as hyaluronic acid, sometimes placed in a silicone condom-like sleeve to boost crotch dimensions. The enlarged genital area allows athletes to wear a slightly bigger ski jumping suit that generates more lift and improves aerodynamics, which in turn can add critical meters in flight.
Really?
Yes. So the apparently the crotch measurement is taken from the lowest point of an athlete's genitals. If you manage to move that point downward, apparently you automatically get more surface area on the suit.
Okay.
So
Now, is that something you've done during the podcast?
I have not. I felt no need to inject myself with hyaluronic acid, which I think doesn't like olive olay have that. Like they promote that for like your face and whatnot.
Absolutely. You want that smooth shine.
But I don't know that I would necessarily inject my penis with anything, much less anything with acid on it.
Well, apparently Dominic would.
I mean, has there anybody out there in our audience that's done this kind of injection? Oh, Billy's saying he's had 2 injections. He just had his second injection.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on to our stories of the week. Not the stories of the week, but other stories we have this week.
Sure.
We have some follow-up in the Travis Turner story. I think some people may remember Travis Turner. He is was the high school football coach down in Virginia, undefeated football coach, as everyone kept saying. And he was being accused of sexual harassment of some students, and he has disappeared, still on the run, apparently. Here is a photo of Travis and his wife prior to him going and hiding, of course. But one of the school students allegedly abused by Travis Turner broke her silence, telling in a heartbreaking statement how she initially blamed herself for the scandal. She had a statement read on her behalf at a school board meeting last week where she said, quote, "I did not feel like a victim. I felt like I was the problem. I felt like I had embarrassed the school, damaged the reputation of the coaching staff, and disrupted something I was supposed to protect instead of myself." So Turner, a 46-year-old father and head coach at Union High School, hasn't been seen since he disappeared, despite extensive manhunts combing the rugged local terrain. So do you think
there goes our algorithm? YouTube's not going to circulate this video. Oh, right.
He was last seen with a gun walking in the woods behind his house on November 20th. With police arriving at his home hours later to question him as part of a child sex crimes investigation. He was officially hit with child pornography charges and 5 counts of soliciting a minor days after he vanished. So again, do you think this guy's alive still, or do you think he is just holed up in the woods somewhere?
I think this guy shot himself in the head.
Really? You don't think they would have found his body by now, though?
I think it depends where he did it. I mean, could he have gone into the woods where there are carnivorous animals that would have devoured the carcass? Could he have gone into a boat on a local lake and just shot himself and landed in the water?
Many questions, which hopefully we'll get answered at some point. But that's not the only story about Travis Turner and his school district. Apparently, an article came out this week talking about how this Virginia school district has employed accused pedophile teachers before, including a middle school band director who planned to share photos of students with friends online. Obviously, we've got Travis Turner in the photo on the left there, but the other 3 Wise County public school teachers, including 2 who were later convicted, faced charges of child sex crimes over the past 5 years alone before Travis's case came to light. Among them was Dalton Matthew Bates, a band leader at Wise County's LF Addington Middle School and Union High School, who was arrested in 2020 after being caught plotting with a pal to share pictures of his young students. He was charged with 20 counts of possessing child pornography, but 2 years later pled guilty to just 10 counts and was sentenced to 2.5 years per count. But the years, listen to this, Brian, the years were to be served concurrently, and he was credited with time served, meaning he was out soon after confessing his crimes. Then Then in 2023, Timothy Lee Meter, a coach and teacher at Union High in Big Stone Gap, where Turner led the football team, pled guilty to child solicitation and indecent liberties. He spent just over a year in prison. Man, this seems like very short prison stays for people harassing children. And then as recently as August, Coburn Middle School teacher Tyler J. Tibbs was charged with 3 counts of carnal knowledge, which typically entails sexual intercourse with a child aged 13 to 15, along with taking indecent liberties with a child by a person in a supervisory relationship. He is currently free on $25,000 bond. He was charged 2 months later. I'm sorry, Turner was charged 2 months after that. And as we said, vanished into the Appalachian woods. This is not great. I mean, a small school district, and you've got 2 convicted and 2 alleged predators in that school.
It's almost like we know there's a problem.
You would think it's, and amazingly enough, and this wasn't the segment, but none of them drag queens.
Really? I'm very surprised because I always thought the drag queens were the problem.
Everyone tells us that the drag queens are the problem, but out of these 4, none of them were drag queens.
Shocking. Very shocking.
Moving on, we've got Eric Adams, former mayor of New York City. Brian, I know you were a big supporter of Eric Adams back when you still lived in the 5 boroughs. You are now
big fan. Big fan.
Now I'm assuming you're a big Phil Murphy fan, even though he's not governor anymore, right? Mickey Sherrill is now your governor.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing her ever taking over, nor have I heard anything from her. But I remember her being elected. I think I even voted for her.
You would think. I mean, hopefully you voted. I don't remember you actually saying you voted.
Oh no, I totally. What are you talking about? We voted on. I filled out my ballot here on the show.
That is correct.
Come on, I always do that.
Anyway,
it's a November tradition.
Going back to New York City and former Mayor Eric Adams, as he was wrapping up his time as mayor in New York City, he talked about how he was going to be rolling out a crypto coin called the NYC token, a new cryptocurrency, which apparently after it debuted is, they say rug pull, they say pump and dump, but the NYC token fell 82% in value less than an hour after opening on Monday afternoon. And as someone, don't know who, withdrew $2.5 million in liquidity from the asset. The cryptocurrency reached a market valuation of $600 million shortly after its debut on the Solana blockchain. And then it opened at 60 cents a share. Its value quickly plummeted to 11 cents. It is now valued at roughly 13 cents a share.
Interesting. And I would love to know. I want to know, who are the people that are buying cryptocurrency that are tied to public figures? Like there have been so many scams, rug pulls, as you like to call them, because that was your nickname in college. However, it was we had Haktua. We've got Eric Adams. I remember there was Elon Musk with the Doge coin. And
wasn't there a Trump crypto coin as well?
But that's actually that was where a lot of the world powers are funneling money to the Trump family, allegedly, because that coin has only gone up in value. As the Trump family own billions of dollars worth of it, and it's being propped up by foreign governments.
Well, so Eric Adams' spokesperson said that Eric Adams wasn't invested in this, did not make any money off of this, and was not involved whatsoever.
Sure.
But And again, what will happen to this? Probably nothing. I mean, Eric
Absolutely
Adams
nothing.
already kowtowed to the Trump administration to get out of a bunch of charges that he was going to be brought up on.
Correct.
So I would
No,
imagine,
he had the charges. They were
right.
were getting ready to they were getting ready. They were arresting everybody around him, and then
But they dropped him based on his snuggling up to Donald.
The Justice Department went down to the Southern District Court in New York and said drop all charges against Adams.
There you go. Brian, very important question coming your way right now. What are you watching?
Oh, okay. Spent some time on some planes this week, so I did some watching on Netflix. Watched something that just came out recently called Murder in Monaco. It is I think it's about a 2-hour documentary about a billionaire banker who's living in Monaco with his wife. He was the head, I believe, of the First Republic Bank or Republic Bank. I think it was Republic Bank now that I think about it. They had billions of dollars in deposits and were managing money for some of the wealthiest people in the world. And he and his female nurse were burned to death in a apartment fire in Monaco, which is pretty much regarded as one of the safest locations. There are allegations whether his wife, who a couple weeks before he died, his will somehow magically changed, removing his 2 brothers who were going to inherit his money over to his wife. Accusations that a second nurse that was working that night, a male who had experience with military special forces, supposedly, he might have been involved. He actually was charged with some crimes as a result of it. Fascinating documentary. Almost as good as the next thing I watched, which was also a Netflix documentary. I think it also is fairly recent. It's called Scouts Honor: The Secret Files of the Boy Scouts of America.
And I don't know if you watch this yet.
That is Netflix. That is a Netflix show. It is it's another, I think it's a 90-minute documentary on the Boy Scouts of America, the issue that they've had since day one of basically pedophiles signing up to be scoutmasters, scout leaders, to gain access to young boys to molest and rape them. And it is a problem that the Boy Scouts have had for decades.
Yeah.
In fact, the Boy Scouts filed for bankruptcy in 2020 to limit the amount of liability that they would have in terms of victim lawsuits that were being filed by young boys. I believe that the bankruptcy court agreed to pay out somewhere between $2 and $2.5 billion in settlements to men who were boys at the time. And not only is it a story about that, they do speak to a lot of victims, but also it is just about the document trail of how the Boy Scouts of America knew about the issue they had with sexual assaults within the organization and how they did everything they could to cover it up. Very similar to the Catholic Church. That's correct. Over 80,000 claims were filed. And I'm sure that there were some that were not legitimate, were just some people trying to, make some money out of it. But even if a quarter of them are fake, or 10% of it, it's just a wholly unacceptable number. And just how the Boy Scouts of America, the national organization, just did everything they could to not acknowledge that they had a problem. And when it became obvious that they couldn't, suddenly as an organization, they stepped forward with, well, look at everything we're doing right now. Just wild. So I highly recommend you watch that, because if you remember, we had a story a couple of weeks ago where I was being slammed in the comments by people for not giving money or not purchasing, I think they were cookies, from the local Boy Scout troop that was set up in the ferry terminal. And I said, my lady over here was like, oh, let's buy some cookies from the Boy Scouts and support the local youth. And I was just like,
Well, did she call them
not.
cookies or did she say biscuits?
They were
'Cause I know that-
biscuits. They love
Why don't we buy biscuits from the jolly old Boy Scouts over here?
Exactly. And I just said I will absolutely not support the Boy Scouts of America. I didn't have the statistics at the time, but I knew about the claims that had been made. This documentary absolutely goes into detail. Just sad and sobering. And then last but not least, in a more uplifting and happier note, I watched the concert documentary Depeche Mode M on Netflix, which is a beautifully shot black and white documentary from live concerts that they did, I believe, last year in Mexico City. A lot of beautiful, some old stuff, some new stuff. But if you're a fan of that kind of music, give it a shot.
All right. And remember, folks, Brian doesn't believe victims. So that's the takeaway from that segment right there.
No, I believe victims, but I also know that that human beings are liars, and that there's always some bad apples.
Fair enough. Well, Brian, I watched a couple of things this week. Watching season 2 of The Pit. 2 episodes have come out so far. Still as good as season 1. Probably one of the better shows on streaming right now. And then I also watched the new Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movie on Netflix called The Rip. So it's they are officers working on a special task force that goes after narcotic homes and try to seize drugs and money and whatnot. Actually good. You know, I wasn't I went into it without high expectations. And listen, is it a great movie? Most certainly not. But is it a good, fun way to kill 2 hours? And I'll even say this. It was a 2-hour movie that didn't feel like 2 hours. Like the pace kept moving, decent story. One of those things where you're like, who's the dirty cop? Who's the good cop? You're not really sure until they lay it out for you at the end. So I would recommend it.
Okay.
That's the champ's seal of approval.
I just put that down on my list of things to watch.
And otherwise, my wife had a bunch of really crappy shows that she played just to have something in the background. There's something called Love Life on Netflix, which might be one of the worst shows I've ever watched, but she enjoys it. So God bless.
Love Life. Is she trying to send you a message about a lack of one?
No, I don't believe so.
In your home?
I don't believe so. No.
Are you sure?
I hope. I mean, I can find out. I can ask during the break and see what's going on.
What are you talking about? She's going to sleep for an hour and a half right now. That's always
so. Next up, Brian, we've got a bit of a mystery going on here in Philadelphia with some murders related to a tow company. In the last few months, there have been 3 murders tied to people working for 448 Towing and Recovery. The most recent incident happened last week when a Honda Accord pulled up at an intersection and killed tow truck driver Aaron Whitfield, and his girlfriend was also shot and injured. Investigators are also looking for a navy blue Jeep Cherokee, possibly involved in the killing of David Garcia Morales, who was gunned down in his tow truck back on December 22nd. And police are also saying that the fatal shooting of Aaron Smith Sim on the 2700 block of Hick Street in late November may also be connected. He apparently was what they call a spotter for tow trucks. So he's the guy that drives around, and if he sees there's an auto accident, they'll go out to the scene and notify the tow truck operators. So people are thinking that this may be a turf war among the different tow companies in Philadelphia. You know, in Philly, there's a rotational tow system. Police will dispatch companies to accidents, but some tow operators often skirt the law by bypassing the rotation and arriving at crash scenes prior to police arrival. Shockingly, Brian, the tow industry has a number of unsavory characters with lengthy criminal histories, including violence.
Well, I mean that if you're saying that, now multiply that by the Philadelphia factor in terms of likelihood of criminality being involved in these deaths. Very, very shocking. Very shocking. As our resident Philadelphia expert, Ron, what's going on here?
Listen, the Philadelphia parking has been a shit show ever since I've lived here. I think we've talked about the Parking Wars show that was on
Sure.
a few years back, which literally was all people getting towed and then having to go and argue with people at the tow yards to
Sure.
get their cars back. Philadelphia Parking Authority on a list of poor government agencies to deal with in Philadelphia, the Parking Authority ranks up there. And then I believe the Daily Show even did a piece on how bad the Philadelphia Parking Authority was a few years back. And while they were interviewing somebody talking about how bad the PPA was, the PPA came up and ticketed the Daily Show reporter's car.
Jesus, that's not a good sign.
Like anytime you go into the city and I'm with somebody that isn't from Philly and they're like, we can just park here. We're only going to be inside for 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, no. I'm like, you need to pay or you're going to come out to a ticket.
You will
Hands
get towed.
down.
Yeah.
Like,
We know.
You
all know about
you get
it.
no grace period.
Philadelphia is hell on earth. We know this.
I wouldn't go that far, but parking wise, yeah, it's not great.
Sorry to hear. Sorry to hear.
Next up, Brian, we're going to go all the way down to Florida, one of
Florida.
our favorite states, where a pastry chef was tragically killed after getting caught in a bread mixing machine at a grocery store where he worked. Mordechai Grunberger, age 71, was found dead at the South Florida Kosher Market in North Miami Beach early Friday morning following a freak accident with an industrial dough mixer. Have you seen one of these industrial dough mixers?
I mean, they're gigantic. I've seen
They're
that.
the size of a person.
Yeah. And how does he fall into one?
Not quite sure. Authorities believe he got lodged in the machine somehow. They don't suspect foul play. I mean, I guess, with the turning of whatever you call that dough hook or whatever, I guess it's possible, as you're feeding flour in, it's very possible he could have got his arm caught on the hook or whatnot.
Now, is it also possible that somebody told him that there was a Palestinian family of 4 living on farmland inside of the dough mixer, and he jumped in there to evict them, advising them that he had been promised that dough mixer land for the past 2,000 years?
I don't have information on that. We can certainly research that, and we can maybe follow up on this next week.
Got it. Because you want to rule out all possibilities when it comes to a tragic, senseless death like this.
I think one thing that people appreciate about you is you don't just take things at face value. Like you're gonna want to know the why behind the why. You're gonna peel that onion. You're gonna get as many layers into it, and then you're gonna shove that onion in your rectum to really make sure you're feeling all of the layers.
And then after I expel that onion, I'm going to get some wipes. I'm going to rub down my leg because it's not going to be clean. I think it's going to be clean, but it's not fully clean. Then I'm going to go shower.
But you're gonna make a shot. Yeah, you got to shower. You got to clean up.
Got to shower after. Correct. If something goes up your butt, you got to be careful. Take a shower afterwards.
Next up, we've got some celebrities behaving badly. First up, Timothy Busfield turned himself in to face charges in a child sex abuse case in New Mexico. I think he was initially charged with the inappropriate touching of 2 underage boys on the Fox TV show The Cleaning Lady. There has been a female that came out and accused him of sexual abuse as well when she worked on one of his shows. So the criminal investigation began back in 2024 when a physician notified police about suspected sexual abuse after examining one of the children at a University of New Mexico hospital. I didn't realize he was married to Melissa Gilbert either.
I had no idea and was utterly shocked. That that's who she ended up with. I don't know why. I just thought that she was going to be I don't know what I never thought she was going to end up with the guy from Revenge of the Nerds.
Field of Dreams. What was that other? He was on that TV show in the 90s.
West Wing. He was on West Wing.
He was on West Wing, but he was on another one before
Wings.
it.
Wasn't he also on Wings?
Wings? The comedy
I
show?
thought he was on Wings. Yeah, Busfield. Wasn't he on Wings? No, I could be wrong. Let's check out his IMDb page. I'll do it right now. I'm not afraid.
30 something. Thank you, William. That is exactly what I was thinking, was 30 something. One of the most generic TV shows
correct.
of all time.
You're right. He was also in Field of Dreams. You're absolutely correct. Does not look like he has been very active in the recent years, but that doesn't make him a bad guy, right?
Now, what is interesting is he did admit to police that it was, quote, highly likely that he touched kids on the New Mexico set of The Cleaning Lady, explaining how there were no specific rules regarding physical contact with children on the show. He said, quote, highly likely he would have tickled the children because it was a playful environment. I don't know about you,
all the time.
True, but you're of age and you pay me $20 a tickle. So that's a little bit different.
Agreed.
But I would say, even if I knew the kids, knew the parents, I don't think I'm ever tickling a child in my life.
No, I am going to be very careful how I interact with children. It's just the right thing to do.
So the boys in question were 11 at the time of the alleged incident back in 2024. And as mentioned, a third alleged victim, a 16-year-old girl in Sacramento, California, accused Busfield of abuse several years ago. The alleged victim's father reported the incident to investigators on January 13th, saying that Busfield kissed his daughter during an audition with the director before he put his hand down the teen girl's pants and, quote, touched her privates at the B Street Theater, which is a theater that Timothy Busfield founded in Sacramento back in 1986.
What a piece of garbage. Fuck him.
So this will obviously play out in the courts, but as we have often said, I mean, I know, Brian, you don't believe all victims, but
that's not what I said.
There seems to be some smoke and fire here. So listen, you throw away. I mean, you don't believe women, so maybe the boys are telling the truth.
I believe all women, Ron.
Do you?
Yes, I believe all women. I learned. Listen, we all learned something during Me Too. What I learned was that is how the importance of believing all women.
Next up, Keifer Sutherland arrested on suspicion of criminal threats last week after LA police say he assaulted a rideshare driver. Just after midnight, officers responded to a call reporting an assault at an intersection just south of Hollywood Hills. They determined that Sutherland entered the Uber vehicle, physically assaulted the driver, and made criminal threats towards the victim. The driver did not require medical treatment. Sutherland was arrested and released from jail a few hours later on a $50,000 bond. He's had a bit of an issue. He had a drunken driving charge back in 2007, convicted in 2004 for drunken driving, had a lot of alcohol-related arrests in the 90s. And then there was that video of him getting in a scuffle in a hotel lobby at some point. Might have some anger issues.
Well, I mean, if your father was Donald Sutherland, wouldn't you have some anger issues also?
Donald Sutherland was a great actor.
Great actor, terrible father.
Really? How do you know this? Tell me how you know this.
I've seen interviews with Keifer and Donald where it was basically both addressed, where they both said that Donald was very much an absentee father, was living the Hollywood life, and just was not around to really guide his son. Keifer had some issues out of that.
All right, fair enough. You back it up with some facts. I'll give you credit for that.
Damn right. Every now and then, I know what I'm talking about. Let's not make it too frequent, though.
So last week, Brian, you took some heat from shipping the Hall of Fame ring for Andrew H. To an incorrect address. Thankfully, Andrew H. was able to go receive the ring. I have the video somewhere, but I'm not able to play it at the moment. We'll need to convert that. Maybe we'll put it up on our social media later this week. But
that would be nice.
let's give some kudos to Andrew H. and to myself as well for picking the very first death in our celebrity death pool for 2026. And that would be Scott Adams, cartoonist, started the Dilbert comic strip later in his career, kind of became a conservative commentator, hopped on the MAGA train, and died of cancer because he thought ivermectin and other holistic remedies would cure him. Brian, you were a big Dilbert head back in the day, if I remember.
Loved Dilbert when it first came out. Then he
when
got
it first
all
came
political.
out, yes.
First, I mean, the thing is this. It is very hard. I mean, we've done 388 episodes of this, still keep it fresh, but not everybody has the ability week in, week out to evolve, to improve. A lot of times you got somebody with a great idea, goes for a couple of years, and they just kind of, they don't have it anymore. What Dilbert brought to the table when it first came out was an intelligent look at the workplace. Where there is, layers of unnecessary middle management. There are, rules to follow, norms, whatnot, that you easily can pick out as being inefficient, not making sense. Reasons why the American workplace is no longer dynamic. It was a great take. You can only make those jokes for so long until it's just like, I feel like you've done this before. You're treading in water that we've already experienced. Stopped reading. I kind of gave up years ago. Way before this guy came out as part of the MAGA crowd. What I'm most upset is that somehow he was not on my 2026 death pool list. I don't know how I left him off, because during 2025, this was the year I said, I'm going to take my death pool list seriously. I kept a note on my phone anytime a celebrity came out as sick. If I heard there was a, stage 4 cancer, if I heard that somebody was looking for a kidney or a liver transplant, I grabbed that phone and just started writing. The number of times my lady accused me of, I was like, oh, are you texting your boyfriend, Ron? And I'd be like, no. Lou Holtz looks sick during that football game. I'm going to put him down. I think he's a goner next year. Somehow I completely missed him, and I'm furious about it because that's a good number of points. How many points was it again?
32 points. He passed away at the age of 68.
I'm going to need like 4 80-year-olds to just, to overcome it. It's going to be rough. It's a rough
as you mentioned,
battle I got.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, Dilbert cartoon got very popular. He wrote a number of books apart from his cartoon books that sold extremely well. Then the Dilbert TV show lasted a couple of years. He came out with the Dilberito, which was panned as an extremely bad food product. And then he kind of went off the rails a little bit. In 2006, he questioned the scope of the Holocaust. In 2011, he compared women to, quote, children and the mentally handicapped. In 2023, he said that Black Americans are members of a hate group and that he would no longer help Black Americans. At the time, he said, quote, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from Black people. Jesus. And so that basically killed off his cartoon, because most newspapers pulled the cartoon at that point.
Rightfully so. Jesus, what a piece of shit.
So goodbye, Scott Adams. I don't know that we'll necessarily miss you at this point.
We will not miss him. Definitely not. No. We'll leave him alone. What else? Anybody else die?
Next. No, I didn't see any. I mean, people died. No one hit the list. We are only really mentioning Scott Adams because, it was points scored. Obviously, There is still a ton going on out in Minnesota with the ICE occupation, I think you can say at this point, of the state of Minnesota.
Yep.
And although there is still some humorous stuff to take out of it, far-right influencer Jake Lang went out to Minneapolis, Some of you might remember Jake Lang as someone who was arrested on January 6th,
Sure.
spent a couple years in prison until pardoned by Donald Trump. He went to Minneapolis he said he was going to expose the Somali community, and instead he kind of got roughed up like a little bitch by anti-ICE protesters. If you have an opportunity to watch the video, I would encourage you to do so. He ends up at one point pressed up against a building. Looks like he may have been wetting himself as people yelled in his face, "What a piece of crap he is."
And he was a piece of crap.
He alleges that he was stabbed, although he didn't have to go to the hospital for it because he had a vest on. But what was interesting is there was all these people that were coming for the anti-ICE protest. He tried to bring a group of people for a pro-ICE demonstration, and about 10 people showed up. So clearly he is speaking to the people out there.
Yeah, and we're not too broken up about it.
No, not at all.
I certainly
busy
not.
week.
Anytime you can get people to show up for a counter protest in this country where you've got Americans, you've got people speaking their freedoms, I'm all in favor of it.
There you go. Busy week for Donald Trump this week. He visited a Ford plant, I believe, in Michigan, where one of the employees called him a pedophile protector, which caused Trump to flip him off and mouth "fuck you" twice at the guy. So it was the gentleman's name was TJ Sabula. He was since suspended for his actions when Trump showed up. A GoFundMe page was set up to support him, and it is now up to $330,000 in donations. Also, the Auto Workers Union is supporting him and attempting to get him back to work. We also had what was her name? The woman that is going to probably lead Venezuela opposition leader Maria Corina Machado went to the White House to give Donald her Nobel Peace Prize medal.
Mind-boggling.
Is this not one of the most sycophantic things you've seen? I mean, there's been a lot of crap during this first and second Trump administration.
Sure.
But you win the Nobel Peace Prize and you give it to this overgrown baby because he's just upset that he didn't win a Peace Prize.
And I know we're not going to show it. The photo of him literally beaming, holding the plaque that they made for him with the Nobel Prize. Just embarrassing. However, I will say once again, the internet always wins. The number of memes that have come out of it, where it is people who have taken Donald Trump receiving other people's medals, just brilliant. I saw there's one of Milli Vanilli handing him their Grammy. I mean, there's one of Jabba the Hutt handing him Han Solo frozen in whatever material that was.
Carbonite, Brian. Come on now.
Carbonite. There we go. Sorry. I am, but you know me. I was always a Star Trek guy. But it's just genius stuff.
And the Nobel Prize Foundation made sure that to remind people that, yes, you can gift the medal to someone, but that does not mean it changes history. It does not make that individual an actual Nobel Prize recipient. In response, the White House is now demanding that the Nobel Foundation at least officially note Trump's, quote, unprecedented accomplishments. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't foresee the Nobel Foundation doing any such thing.
What accomplishments?
Well, this may be an accomplishment, Brian. He's allegedly going to be signing a executive order to give the annual Army-Navy game an exclusive 4-hour broadcast window each year, which would make it so that no other game would be televised at the same time. Brian, this is the stuff that is at the forefront of voters' minds. We don't need lower mortgages. We don't need affordable health care. We need to make sure that the Army-Navy game, typically a game between two of the most mediocre teams in college football gets highlighted.
I mean, it's a fun football game to watch, just from a historically rival perspective. But I don't necessarily feel that this is something of national value that the White House needs to be controlling.
And finally, countries that want a permanent seat on President Trump's new Gaza Board of Peace are expected to cough up $1 billion to help fund reconstruction efforts. Temporary membership on the panel, however, does not have a minimum membership fee. It says, quote, each member state shall serve a term of no more than 3 years from this charter's entry into force, subject to renewal by the chairman. What is this Board of Peace supposed to do? This is a new one on me. I don't know that I've heard this before.
This doesn't even make sense to me. I don't understand what the fuck is going on here. And he's charging countries money. I don't get it. I just don't get it here. You're going to have to make it make sense.
I wish I could. I wish I could understand, as much as I wish I could understand what's going on with Greenland right now. Have you seen Denmark on social media lately, reaching out directly to the people of America to say, you know, what is going on in your country? Like, we know we can't have a serious dialogue with your president. We felt we were your ally. What the hell is going on right now?
I don't believe anybody can answer it logically. Can they?
I don't think so. Although the story that people are saying, and it makes sense, is that if we were to attempt to take Greenland by force, you know, that would essentially shatter NATO to the point where NATO would probably no longer exist. And hasn't that been a key goal of Trump? Trump seems to hate NATO. Trump seems to hate any organization that he feels stops him from doing things that he just wants to do.
But you see, I believe his problem with NATO that he has put out there. Now you can say, listen, I know that's not true, but the problem that he's got with NATO is the fact that the military defense of NATO basically consists of the U.S. military, and that he's always felt that the NATO member countries are not spending enough money on their military to justify their inclusion in NATO if it becomes a ultimately the reliance of, if one NATO country gets attacked, they all get attacked, basically stating that they have been riding the coattails of the American military because anybody knows not to invade them, otherwise the American military will come. So he's always argued that the European countries should be spending more on defense to protect themselves, and they basically have thrown him pity comments about how they'll spend more.
All right, let's get one final story in here. As some of you may have seen this past week, there was another series of arrests tied to point shaving in college sports.
Ooh, yes.
This one tying in the DePaul Blue Demons. According to unsealed court documents from the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, former players Jalen Terry and Deshaun Nelson are accused of manipulating a 104-77 loss to St. John's back on March 5th of 2024. They allegedly manipulated this game at the direction of defendant Jalen Smith and, quote, the fixers, defendants Marvs Fairley and Shane Hennon. They made arrangements with the DePaul players to underperform and influence the first half of the game so that DePaul would not cover the first half spread. St. John's smashed DePaul in the first half, 54-28, easily covering the 15-point spread before playing a much tighter second half, which was only 50-49 in favor of the Red Storm. Documents further add that approximately $52,400 of wagers were placed on St. John's to cover the first half spread across various sports books. These wagers included parlays along with other games that the schemers had allegedly fixed by bribing players.
Ugh. The world is so difficult.
What did not help is that there are text messages from the players to the other defendants that are being revealed in court documents. But just another ugly stain on college basketball. Now I hear the NCAA are talking to these prediction markets like Kalshi, and they're asking them to take individual player performance off of these prediction markets because they feel there's just too many opportunities for players to try and break bad, I guess you could say.
Sure. Ron, have you made any Kalshi wagers?
Let me see here. I did. Let me tell you what I got going so far.
Let's, because I know recently you told me that this was something you wanted to get involved in. You pressured me into doing the same. So I want to know whether you have had any luck with it.
So I have. I've got the college football championship, Miami versus Indiana tomorrow night. I've got Indiana winning. But they have a 75% chance. That's not a big
I've got
payout.
that. I've got that also.
They've got which brands will advertise during the Super Bowl in 2026. I took him and hers at 90% chance. And then this is going into later this year, which party will win the U.S. Senate this year. I picked the Democratic Party, which only has a 34% chance right now. But I feel like there's a good possibility that they could move some seats.
I agree with you. I think that's actually a pretty good wager.
Yes, thank you. Wow, after you were so mean to me at the beginning of this episode.
Ron, I'm never mean. I'm just speaking my truth.
All right.
If it makes you uncomfortable, that's your problem, not mine.
Well, the truth is, if you're not subscribed to our Patreon, you should be by this point. Go to cultofronandbrian.com, click in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron. If you join at the $10 a month level or higher, you get to join us later on for extra behind-the-scenes sexy stories on Cult of Ron and Brian After Dark. That'll start at 9:30 tonight. At the end of each month, the final Sunday, which is just a week from now, we do our pajama party. We have our listeners, our subscribers on to join us, and we do a little trivia contest. Is it time for Can You Beat Brian this next Sunday?
It is. It absolutely is. And I hope you have a good, I hope you got a good game lined up.
I got to think of one.
We don't fuck around. We don't fuck around on these anymore.
Just yet, but I got to think about it because we're on a streak of not winning. So I don't want to make it too easy, but I do need to try and find something that is in your wheelhouse. So maybe I can find, people that have been sexually assaulted that you can try and deny. Maybe I can find, I don't know, something along those lines.
Very offensive, Ron. Very offensive. So you don't have to remind me that I did not win.
Fair enough. Anything else, Brian, before we wrap up and start to get ready for After Dark?
Not at all. This has been another great episode. We've gone long. We're already at the hour 7-minute mark, which I know you like to keep it to a tight hour. So I will stop ranting. I will stop my tangents, and I will just say thank you all for joining us this week. We really appreciate it. And join us next week.
All right. Appreciate you all. See you all next Sunday night.
Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of the Cult of Ron and Brian. A non-tax deductible contribution can be made by subscribing to our Patreon. Visit cultofronandbrian.com and click on Become a Patron. We'll see you again next week.